We are starting soon. Alrighty, welcome back to another episode of the Album Book Club. This week we are checking out There Are No Rival Clones Here by Blair. This was recommended to us in one of our random strings of asks for stuff. This album came out in 2024, is labeled on Apple Music as rock, is actually a punk album, and we have special guest Chad in the stew today.
Thanks for having me.
Carson has died.
Yep.
All right. You guys ready to roll right into our top three?
Yep.
All right. We'll just go ahead and start with The Thief, Bug House, and then Beat Happened.
I had Beat Happened, Bitter Men, and Across the Water.
I liked Dead Set, number one. Bug House and Beat Happened.
I had Beat Happened, Bug House, and AC/DC.
All right. Get into our bottom track. I had Don't Think.
I had Blair's Theme.
Seventh Heaven, the last thing.
I almost had Blair's Theme, but I went with Across the Water.
Blair's Theme felt like a cop-out.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was, but it's fine. Can you turn Chad up a little bit?
I'm
I would say, I think, he
I
might
might
need
be able to fix that for you.
Okay.
If you unscrew it here, you can move it wherever you want.
You can raise it up, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that too.
It's adjusted for someone who's very loud, so that's part of it too.
Yeah, that he was significantly lower than us.
Is that better?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. We'll go right into track one, Blair's Theme. I gave this a 6 out of 10.
I also gave this one a 6 out of 10.
Yeah, I said 6 out of 10.
Oh, wow. You all were way nicer than me. I gave this one a 4.5 out of 10.
Yeah, I just hit it with the rules. It was way too long for an intro, though.
Mm-hmm.
Way long.
I don't feel like it sets up the album well at all. Like, it does not tell you what you're about to get into.
That's totally fair. I just liked the general sounds that were happening in most of it. I think that's why it did a little better than some intros. I noticed immediately that there was not enough low end in the mix. That's a problem that persists.
This is the first intro that we've had since Deloused. Whatever this intro was going to get hit pretty hard. But it's also 2 minutes and 17 seconds of just instrumental. And it's kind of just repeating the same thing, which is a theme we'll come back to a lot in this review. But yeah, it's an intro. Got hit with the rules pretty bad.
I have a Logan rant. There's a cool part they play, but it's exactly from Joker and the Thief by Wolf Mother.
I was going to say the guitar riff was nice, too much, too often, but nice. But I didn't understand, let's call it a background sample track of someone speaking.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was kind of random because it's like they started with that and they ended with that, but it's all jarbled kind of nonsense. Didn't make any sense.
And mixed too low for what it is. Yeah.
That's a common theme.
Yep.
Yeah, we'll come back to that one.
Subliminal messaging.
Alrighty. We'll just go ahead and go right into track 2 here. Beat Happened. I give it a 6.5.
Wow, I give this one a 9.
I gave it an 8. I love the bass line in it.
Gave it a 7.5. I think I also liked the bass line in it, which we'll come back to that idea and how it doesn't happen again.
I literally wrote, "You can finally hear the bass." That's one of my notes. I don't know. I just liked the groove and energy, and this one was fun. I think this is probably, out of all of us, the most in my wheelhouse, so it makes sense. But I had the highest score.
Yeah, they kind of start off with like a cake flow almost in the vocals, and then gets into Is it Are You Gonna Be My Girl?
Jet
The
or
Jet.
the Hives is
Yeah.
what I was thinking.
A lot of this sounds like that one Jet song. So, but it didn't. It's too early to start bothering me now. So
It's a rabbit hole because it made me go watch their music video. So it worked.
Yeah, very like early 2000s indie, which is not the rest of the album at all. But
Nah. This one is good if you're driving somewhere. It's good to have on in the car. Can confirm that.
Yeah. To be honest, I rated this around here expecting the album to get like leagues better. Look. The one problem I had, well, there's not one. The multiple problems I had with this track really never eased up. I think they frankly have just the wrong guitar playing. Carl and I were discussing it a little bit. In my mind, it should be like a Strat. If they're going to run that much distortion, they pretty much need to half their output. Or just run way less distortion. Something is just not right for the guitar player. It's completely killing the vocalist. Just tone-wise, you can't hear anything the vocalist is doing.
Yep.
And in those little bits where the guitar pulls out or pulls back, you can hear the band. It's so cool. And this song really just set it up for me. And it never actually, it did let up one song later. And that was my number one track. Because you can hear the vocals the whole time. And everything's very good.
I was gonna say the problem with that note is that these two songs are the best it's gonna get.
yeah, we talked about it. I don't know if it's guitar or if it's guitar into amp or if it's guitar into pedal into amp. I don't know if it's a combo of all three or it could be both guitars and both using the same amp and not changing the EQ or something. But yeah, now that you said that, I was thinking about it. A lot of those bands, I don't know what the Hives used, but the Strokes is a Strat and an Epi Casino. So it's a very lower gain pickup kind of situation. In the music video, I think it was a Les Paul. I know the singer was playing an Airline. I don't know if it's a real one of the Eastwoods, but interesting guitar in the video.
Yeah. Just, it's not bad. It's just a lot. And there's also, you find towards the end of the song, just a caking on of effects. They start to just kind of add them on as the song progresses, which is cool. But they never seem to ever get turned off, especially when you leave the chorus. You should probably kick some of those effects back off, and they just get left on for the next verse, and it can get a little egregious, I'll say. All right, let's go to our next track, track 3, Bughouse. I give this a 6.75.
This one got an 8 from me.
I gave it an 8. I liked it.
This one got a 7 out of me.
So this one had like an 8 until the solo. And oh my gosh, that is terrible tone. Terrible tone. You could barely hear what was happening other than the fact that notes were changing. Not what notes they were, but that they were changing. I don't know if it was a fuzz that was blown out or a distortion with every knob all the way up. Something was just a lot too much. Very good energy. There was also just a momentum killer halfway through the track, and that bugged me. But yeah, it did Bughouse me.
It's what I liked about it. The tempo changes throughout, and I get what you're saying about the lull in the action in the middle. But the tempo changes, especially from the beginning until that I was going to call it a bridge, but the part where it sort of tones down quite a bit, and then the last 40 seconds they bring it back up. But up until then, I got like a real, I don't know, like a jazzy, almost Violent Femmes feel about that song. That's what made me think it was like one of my favorite songs on the album, is because of that relationship that I had to it. And I like the tempo changes in it. I can see what they were trying to do.
There's just a lot of energy. That's the note you guys haven't covered. I really like the forward momentum all the way through this whole album. They do a really good job doing it, and knowing that it's mostly punk, it makes sense. This is where I get my note about the mix being really shrill. It's not only the guitar, it's the whole mix. But again, Logan and I were talking about on the way here, I have different tinnitus in both ears, and it's peaking one of them. So it's something that's a very specific me problem, but it was like right in the frequencies that hurt. So it actually made it kind of a hard listen for me.
I think I almost disagree with your drive note and how it like drives the entire album.
Well, there's a couple breaks.
We're gonna get into it when we get
Yeah.
into pacing. Is
Yeah.
where this is gonna come back. But yeah, this one, I think I had the same problem Logan did, where I liked it until it got slow, and I don't mind either of them like separately. I think it was the going from that fast to that slow. I guess whatever tempos they are, I did not care for. But then I just have like it ends fine, I guess. But I just didn't like the slowdown part, and it's not that I wanted it to just keep going and going and going. And I don't know.
It was very abrupt.
That too.
It, like 20 plus clicks difference in tempo.
They kind of have this thing where, and it's not that they don't do a lot of different, like, diverse musical styles on the album. It's that there's like two modes. It's either going or not, and they only have two gears, which isn't. I mean, it's not necessarily a problem. It's just you either enjoy it or you don't.
I don't even mind the two gears. I think I just didn't like it in the same song, I guess.
That makes sense.
'Cause I think one of the next couple I liked quite a bit. I don't think it's the next one, and that is mostly for pacing reasons, but we'll get into it.
Yeah. All right. Anyone have anything else for Bughouse? All right, we'll go on to track 4. Don't think. I gave this a 4 out of 10.
Wow. This one got a 7.5.
I was at a 7 out of 10.
I give this one a 6.
There was an expectation that it got better, and it didn't get worse. I can confirm that. This was pretty much the worst that it ever got. And it's not even that it's all bad. There's a lot of really good concepts here that just need a lot of forming, I think. The harmony from the female vocalist is way too low for comfort as her vocal range sits now. And that's because the male lead vocalist is singing right at his talking vocal. So he's got the easy time, and she's got to stretch lower. And you can just tell by how far she's stretching that she's a naturally high-pitched female in her average talking voice. And then on top of that, musically, this one didn't do a lot for me. While being a solid, good, fun energy track, it was just a lot of like the same thing the whole time, and that is what punk is, you know. It's just they're post-punk, so you expect some of those kind of weirder, fun riffs and stuff thrown in there. But this seemed to be more of a vocal showcase, anyhow.
See, I didn't mind the female vocals, but I think that comes back to some of my other genres. I went through a big bubble pop phase, and it always kind of reminds me their female vocalists are all kind of a little low in their range too. Didn't bug me, but I did really like the acoustic intro. But the other note I have is, does it work for the rest of the song? I don't know. It's kind of an interesting thing to put an acoustic guitar in a song that's still got some energy going with the rest of the band going on around it.
I like the I was going to say rhythm acoustic guitar through it, and I like that they, again, we'll talk about pacing, but I like that they changed it up at this point in the album, and maybe this isn't the right spot for this song on the album, but I thought it was a good effort to show what they can do other than what they had done so far. The harmonies I liked just because it changed it up, and the rhythm guitar that you were the acoustic in the background. I liked that throughout too.
Yeah, I think the female vocals would have been my favorite part of the album if they didn't clash so much with the effect-heavy, bit crushed almost other vocals on this song. And I like them. I just don't think they fit this song super well, and also pacing of where this song is on the album. I don't think we were ready for it to slow down just yet. I think we needed a little bit more of a faster track here. Maybe not quite as fast as than the last two, but it's the rest of that part of the notes are in the next song, because I think that one is placed pretty much exactly where it needs to be.
Weird side note. I don't want to discount how hard it is to sing and play bass.
I say
because she's doing.
I think
assuming-
she's 100% singing the proper pitches.
Yeah.
It's just she's stretching and fighting something.
Oh yeah. No,
I think she's fighting the effects.
I would say
on the other
there's some.
vocals.
I don't think it is an effect on the vocals. I think it's like an overtone from the guitar, or like a cymbal or something. Because the other vocals sounded pretty straight. As
Yeah,
far as
I thought they were caked with like distortion effects on the vocals.
I thought that was just everything. Because they completely peaked out the AirPods at one point. I had to like stop a song and restart it because it just set them off.
That makes sense.
But yeah, I thought that the actual vocal track, the main vocal, wasn't too heavily affected, other than your obvious reverb delay, that crap.
I'm pretty sure there's a fairly heavy distortion on it, and it's like only for this song too. It goes away for the rest of the album after this.
Oh, you're so right. This is that track. I was thinking the other one. Sorry, I have two songs with fours.
it's probably just too much compression all the way around.
Mm-hmm.
It's funny. I always think of Tame Impala when I hear that, and I like we're getting to a point where we're starting to escape what I call the Kevin Parker effect, but it's not quite there.
Yeah, a lot of my notes were about harmonies from here on out. And it's just because whatever they were doing. I mostly think this band would succeed with a separate singer. And it's not even that. It's most of my problem comes down to it's not that this guy's bad. It's that whatever everyone else is doing is not what he's doing, and that is usually the biggest problem in a band is the lead singer's ego. That's just experience.
I think you're overthinking it way too much. I think they all jam together, and they all are very good at their instrument, and they're just playing what instrument they want to play instead of playing the one that fits in the band. It's very funny. We did those albums with Flea and John Frusciante on them, and I'm sure I brought it up. Flea doesn't really like jazz basses, but in the Red Hot Chili Peppers context, that is the sound.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't really play one outside the Chili's. He plays a P bass on D-Loused, and that's why so many people don't know it's Flea. He doesn't sound like Flea because he's playing the instrument he actually likes. So it's kind of a funny, like, there's a certain amount of it that is your individual sound, but it's almost like they just need a little more time to find what's going to work in the band sound together. Because obviously they tried to fix it in post.
Mm-hmm.
They either spent a lot of time or money or something. There's a lot of effects going everywhere, and they had a vision here. It's just one of those, like, sometimes you can't fix certain things, and I think that's what happened with specifically the guitars just clashing with everything.
Well, I would add to what Logan says with the vocals is that he's a good lead singer when they're doing their punk rock songs. But on these songs where they vary from that, then maybe it doesn't come together the way they're used to things coming together.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but Carl, we basically said the exact same thing, and just you added a lot of words.
That's what I do. That's what I'm
they
here.
clearly are all good musicians. It's just because he's the one playing the guitar that we have the problems with too. Like as far as the mix goes. Now, as the amps, I don't know, but that is the one that I can deem out just by going through their Instagram videos is the one that I have a problem with. It's just, sometimes you got to bend your tone a little, and I think they're too new to know that.
Yeah.
All right. Go on to track 5, Dead Set. Give this a 5.5.
Oh, this one got an 8 from me again.
I gave it an 8. I liked it.
I give this one a 7.
Yeah, this is the song I had to pause and restart because I just got like way too overwhelmed. So up to this point, the entire album was too quiet. Like I had my phone at 70% volume, and I always look at my volume warning for my headphones, and I wasn't even hitting yellow at 70%, and most albums set that off. It's like 50, 60%. So it was just really quiet until this song, and then they just kind of cranked everything by a little too much. And right after this song, they fixed it. So I think this was just them trying to kind of figure out turning up everything.
This was a weird one mix-wise because I have a note about it in every single track, but it's not that the mix is awful. We've had awful mixes. It's that the mix is fatiguing. It makes your ears hurt. And that's that's just a fundamental problem if you want anyone to listen to anything beyond a single. Other than that, I did really like this track. I liked the energy being kept up during the slowdown and really enjoyed the effects on the guitar on this one, specifically the tremolo.
I felt like it sounded, and maybe this was the writing and the vocals at the beginning. I thought it came in like a old Velvet Underground song. I like that sound. I like what they were trying to do there. I think it may be the only thing I would say is it ran a little long, but it started out really good, so I didn't mind listening to it.
Yeah, this one kind of locked in that I like the female vocalist a lot on this. I just really wish that we could hear her better, because this one, it wasn't clashing with the other vocals. It was the effects on the guitars that was kind of hurting it. Felt it was a little hard to hear her. But other than that, energy of the song is good. This is the correct spot for this song. I think they should have, if they were going to pull back the energy, this is the place to do it. And yeah, and I could hear the bass. And the bass has not become a problem yet. So,
speaking of energy, it helps to like push the next song even. Mm-hmm. It's actually fairly good pacing between these two.
See, I think my biggest problem is they do it too much. For what's a punk album should realistically at most have one pullback.
Little roller coastery.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like it should be like from like 90 to 120 BPM most of the time.
You're thinking too hard about punk. It's post punk. Think more about post rock. Think more about indie rock. Think more about that kind of stuff and how it's kind of that thing. That's pretty normal.
I still agree that the last song shouldn't have slowed down. It should have started here instead of there.
I would agree with you if it was more than 11 songs, 37 minutes. If we had one more track on here and an extra 4 minutes, maybe we get 2. But because of how short it is, I mean, realistically, this is like cut 1. Well, I guess because it's punk, cut 2 tracks, and that's a set list.
I mean, not that I didn't like any of these songs, but I think they were already struggling to get this many songs on here, so it would have been.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm glad they didn't give us any more filler.
That's
very true.
All right. Ready to move on to track 6? This Bitter Men. I give this a 6 out of 10.
Give this one an 8.5.
I gave this one a 5 out of 10.
Give this one 6.
Get this out of the way.
Oh, nice.
Let me look to see if I have it written anywhere else, because I think this also would apply.
Did have a bass intro though.
I don't see it. I'm giving it here.
That was the positive note.
The only thing I actually wrote was that this was we're Jet again, right back to what they know. But I was worried that it wasn't going to get fast for the rest of the album after 2 slow songs in a row towards the first half. But I was pretty happy to know we were getting fast again.
See, this to me was like, it was finally kind of what I expected when I read post-punk. This was finally the energy and the kind of drive and all the push and the momentum. And I actually think the mix fits this track. The whole album mix fits the kind of more punk, more raw vibe of everything. So I like it here. I don't like it anywhere else. But I like it on this track. So I think that's where it ended up with the score it got.
I felt it was repetitive and a filler song. What you just said about this song, I feel about like 2 songs from now. But I don't think it certainly doesn't harm the pace of the album because it really is what they're about. But I guess as far as the writing of it, and I don't know, it just sort of, That's probably one of my least favorite songs on the album.
Yeah.
All right. Go to track 7, Across the Water. I give this a 4 out of 10.
Wow, this one got an 8.25.
I gave this one a 6 out of 10.
I gave this one a 4 out of 10.
All right. So they changed the mix-up on this one, like, significantly. I would say for the better, but the harmony still has the same issue of you can't really hear it. And then they also just decided to like throw a wrench in all momentum this song had.
Yeah, you hated the cowboy section. I knew this was coming.
It was Happy Trails.
Not the section.
Literally Happy Trails.
Just the fact that we were going, and then it just stopped. Like, I was actually excited. I was like, all right, cool, let's see where it's going. And then just all out the window. The momentum killed itself.
For the first, like, 1 second of this song, I thought it was Can't Stop, and they were just doing a cover. But this is a very repetitive song, and it gets way worse the longer you're in it. First half is fine, I guess. But after it gets to the slowed down part, I'm pretty sure there's one lyric the entire rest of the song, and I got so annoyed with it.
We know me as Mr. I don't listen to the lyrics, so that would make sense.
See, I didn't either. They said it so many times, I started registering what they were saying, and then listening and noticing that it was the same line for like 3 minutes.
I thought it was very original. I thought it belongs on a different record. If they had another album with different, like some of the slower stuff, and they could work it in, it just went on too long. And like I said, the part that they slowed it down in really just sounded like they were playing Happy Trails in the background.
I get that. I kind of have this thing where I feel like all California rock sounds the same, because it does. Unfortunately, all rock that comes out of California sounds like the Red Hot Chili Peppers. So that note was dead on. I kind of thought the Cowboy section was interesting. I thought it was cool that they decided to do something different. It reminds me a little more of that happens more on like desert rock albums, that kind of thing. The whole like idea of driving through the desert and different things and just having different vibes. And I don't know if that's what was intentional. I really liked the fuzz in this one. It was absolutely destroyed and disgusting. I liked the dynamic changes here, but the reason it got an 8 1/4 instead of probably being my favorite track on the album was the brightness. The brightness really hurt it. It's just very pokey in my ears.
Yeah, I was not feeling this track. The vocals keep fighting, and I really wish that it would get figured out by the end of this, and it unfortunately is not. So I wonder how they sound live, because it's got to be fixed.
I was thinking about that, because a lot of bands that are on the harder side, I mean, we think more about the hardcore bands we know. They tend to have someone that's more of the rock or even just the screamer, and then someone that's the singer. And they almost have that thing going, just in a very different way here. I don't know.
Yeah. All right. Go into track 8, The Thief. Give this one a 7 out of 10.
This one also got a 7 from me.
I gave it a 7 out of 10.
I guess I'll bump it up to a 7. I'll cave to peer pressure.
Yeah, this is just a great punk song. Not a great punk song. Very fun punk song. The biggest problem is the vocals are too quiet on this one. For how much drive, energy, fun it's got, you want to hear what they're saying, and you can't, no matter how hard you try.
This one had a good energy. They're kind of back to what they know. I thought this one was kind of close to being a thumbs up, but also they played part of the bass line from Rock Lobster for a second.
Yeah, the only note you guys didn't cover is I really liked some of the stuff he was doing with cymbal bells on this one, and then I made a note to write that the drumming the whole album is actually very good. I think that's probably why I vibed with this one so much, but a lot of good playing overall from everyone, but the drumming was very good on particularly this track.
Number one, Rock Lobster is a compliment to this song. This is what you said about Bitterman is how I felt about this song. If you come back to what you were doing in the first place, a quick punk rock song, and quick is what's important with these kind of songs, is they don't run on for 4 and 5 minutes. It's punk rock. Get it in, get it out, and they did it. This is one of the best ones for their post-punk genre motto. This is one of the best songs that they had that fits right into that category, so I liked it.
Yeah, every note I have about the bass that is even a little bit positive is great because of the one of the songs that's coming up. It's about to get destroyed.
Yeah, I find this song was very hard to actually write notes about. due to the fact that it really fell into its own script of just being a punk song. And I don't want to say that that's like a really bad pitfall, but it's almost impressive how like easy they just slid into that, and how like fast it was my number one song. So it's like, I wonder if that's just where their roots started, kind of. We'll just ask them eventually. All right.
That's how it goes.
Let's go on to track 9, AC/DC. Give this a 4.5.
I give this one an 8.
I said 5 out of 10.
I gave it a 7.
So I'll go ahead. All 8 points are from it not being anything like AC/DC.
Oh, good.
No, I like AC/DC. I just think it's hilarious to name something after another band that clearly that's what everyone is going to think when you name the song that. And then it just being not remotely anything. I mean, other than it being rock.
Actual alternate deterrent currents.
Yeah.
It could have been like a positive thing like the one before it, but it just went on way too long. And then it ended with like a fusion jazz jam session noise that didn't complement the song it was ending. So it really, the end of that song, it just started cutting. I just started tallying points up because I just didn't like the way it crashed at the end.
I don't know. Most of the points from this one came from energy, and just
It's got energy.
it's really more of the same on this album, but it really didn't do anything that made me mad either. So
Yeah, this is the first song you're ever gonna say or hear me say "slow it down" on. Just can't hear like any of the words because they're going too fast. Even in the chorus, when you can hear him singing the words, it's legit just like 5 clicks too fast. He's trying too hard to get the words out. They're just getting jumbled a little bit. So yeah, just a little bit slower. I think it'll be good. The vocals are way too quiet yet again. And I really just did not care for the chorus on this. But I guess it also kind of just made me mad that I was about the naming the song AC/DC and then it being like, oh, you're the alternate current to my deterrent current, or whatever the words were. Just basically saying that you're the love of my life in a punk song, which also felt kind of wrong.
Well, I mean, yeah. The funny thing is, back to the Australian band AC/DC, the name comes from the fact that apparently one of them swings both ways. That's the joke. That was always the joke.
All right.
also, Logan, this is not even the first time on this show that we've said a song needs to slow it down.
It's the first time I'm going to say that it has to slow down. Not that it should, that it has to.
I'm gonna say it could have been faster, but you know me.
I agree with
Well, it got faster at the end. Something did.
Maybe that's it. Maybe you just got to get your rap game up for for this one. All right. Ready to move on to the next track?
Sure.
Up, down. I give this a 4.5.
Wow, look at Logan over there. I give this a 7 3/4.
I gave it an 8 out of 10.
I gave it a 5. This is the most repetitive song on this album, which is saying something because of what comes next. Also, this is the one that the bass made me mad because it's like the same couple notes the entire time, which it got a note and everything else didn't, because after I realized the bass was the same thing over and over again, I then realized everything else in this song was the same thing over and over again.
The whole point is that they do the bait and switch. You know, the tracks come, or they come in without the drums, and then when the drums come in, they're not on the beat you think they're on. That's the whole point. I always love when they do that. I love when parts interlace in ways that you don't expect. I got kind of bummed when it wasn't Cherub Rock, though, based on the intro. 100% got some Guitar Hero vibes there, but I did enjoy the energy.
I thought it was a good change of pace for the album, and it was thoughtfully written. And my main note was, this would have been a great way to close out this album.
What, you didn't like the next one?
Yeah, I think they let the drummer mix this one. Because drums were front and center in the mix.
That's why I liked it.
It's not even that it's a negative. It's just that it's the first time that has happened. And it is the second to last track. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. Drums are going to be front and center on the next one. No.
No, so what happened is they put the guitars back at the correct volume. And you just noticed you could hear the rest of the band suddenly.
No, because I still couldn't hear the bass.
Oh, well.
You can hear the bass. Your brain probably just tuned it out because it was playing the same 4 notes.
Oh, I don't even think so. I think the guitar's distortion just drowned it out in the AirPods. You gotta think of bass response in those things.
AirPods.
There's also not a lot of lows in the bass tone. It's not a very full.
That too.
Which is a normal thing for punk, but.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's just a culmination of a lot of things I did not like. And then, yeah, it just was very repetitive. The words weren't very good to me. Just not catchy, not anything I related to from what I could even hear. And then I don't remember if Apple Music had the lyrics.
It did on the ones that I looked for, but I did not look every time.
I said the only 2 times I looked were the intro and the outro, to which they did not have any listed.
Well,
So
no, the outro had lyrics.
The outro had lyrics, yeah.
Intro, you weren't going to find anything anyway.
Mm-mm.
Was this the 6/8 song? Or is that the last one?
I don't
I don't
I have
remember.
no idea.
Yeah, I don't even remember.
The only thing I could think about during this song was how we have a song called Uptown that just is in the ether.
Yeah, honestly, the last couple just reminded me of other things. Just various different things.
That's so fair. All right. Anything else before we get into the last track? All right. Last track is Seventh Heaven. I gave it a 5.5.
Wow. I'm going to give it a 7.
I gave it a 6 out of 10.
I gave it a 5.
Yeah, this guy hit with the rules. But there was like a couple seconds of a song in there, so it got a plus 0.5.
Yep. I'll read this word for word. How many times in a row are we going to hear the same 5 notes? The vocals are fine, but it's just so repetitive, and knowing that that's not the only time in this section of the album that's happened, gotta switch it up.
With the sampling, I just felt like it was bookends. Like they started this way and they ended this way, and it doesn't fit the post-punk theme that we were listening to for most of the album. And I literally would have ended this whole thing with Up Down, and I think it would have took you out smooth.
Yeah, I don't know. I tend to like a slowdown for the ending, but I kind of accepted at this point that it was not a punk album, and I think just moved on from that. But I did like the dynamics in this one again. There's a lot of talent in this band. We were talking about it earlier. I kind of figured it out. I think it's 4 talented people that can't agree on how to be a band together. At least not at the same time. They all have very different influences, and when they have jams, man, it's awesome. But it's like whatever songwriting influences they have are just out of left field from one another, and this was another one that was like pretty decidedly different from a lot of the other stuff that's going on. And it's not that I don't like that. I mean, the stuff that I have written, my albums tend to sound more like a mixtape, but I also mix them all differently, and they tend to all make sense together. So, I don't know. I don't know. I wish I had better thoughts. I'm sorry.
Yeah. All right. Anything else? All right. That takes us to pacing. I gave the pacing of this a 5 out of 10.
I'm going to give it a 7.
I'm right at 7. I liked some of the slowdowns, and then I liked the way they picked back up. It was the beginning and the end, the 1 and 11 that I thought killed that.
Yeah, it's getting a 5 from me. Slowed down too early. The intro's too long. Outro is also probably too long. There's like 3 filler songs in B-side, which for 37 minutes can't be doing that.
Yeah, I kind of feel like, honestly, this could have been a 4-track EP and been a lot better.
Yeah. There's too many songs where they kill their own momentum. Just the constant fatigue of the guitar tones, the fighting to hear the lyrics, and just that sets up its own bad listening experience. And then, it's 37 minutes, so it can't be that bad to get through. But it just some of those momentum turnarounds kill it. It just wasn't all there for me.
I listened to the whole thing 3 times. And I think there's a couple of songs on there that would make singles. If they got regular radio play, people would catch on. And I think that's one of the things that this band would benefit from is more airplay. The more you hear it, the more you're going to like certain songs.
Mm-hmm.
That does make sense. Going back to the Red Hot Chili Peppers, that's how they work. You hear it, and then it gets better, and then you hear it so much that you don't like it anymore. But then you hear it 10 years later, and you're like, oh, this song's okay.
I think that's just most music as long as it follows a certain rule. There are very certain rules to like pop music and stuff like that people tend to naturally pick up on as songwriters of following the natural momentum of a song. And the times where we tend to be harshest on this show are when things fall outside of that. And you can even see that in this review. The songs that got rated the harshest were the ones that fell outside of the standard, one, of just music, but two, that they had set up.
The most original of their writing bit them.
Yeah. And I bet at their show, those are the ones that are the best songs. They just have a different energy to them that is almost hard to capture in a recording like setting. And I think that's also what kind of bit this is. This does not feel like a band that should be in a recording setting. This feels like a band that you should go see. Just judging by the way their tones are, they're meant to hit a wall somewhere else and bounce back. They're very heavy. They need open room space. I mean, they need to pull back a little, but I think this loud in a giant room would be really good.
They're not an AirPod band.
No, they're not an AirPod band.
Well, I mean, we talk about it a lot. It's like if you're gonna just pop out an album and you're gonna put in a certain amount of effort and you only have a certain amount of effort to give, those are the albums that we tend to really lay on our grid and lay our formula out on. Stuff that the mix isn't changing every track, or it's not telling a story, or it doesn't this and that. If you go whole hog and you create something really different, we will reward you for that. But something like this, it's just half measures, and I think that was where it failed for at least you two.
I don't even know that it necessarily failed. We just have a very specific way of rating things, and I've been up front since the beginning of saying nothing gets a pass. Everything's on the same scale, and I've stated it before that like middle of the road is 5, because that's the way our number system has to work. Until we add in negative numbers, inevitably, 5 is just the middle of the road. And I don't think this was terribly paced, but I don't think it was greatly paced as far as albums go. This is no Mars Volta.
Right. I mean, I had a fairly enjoyable listen, other than having ear fatigue, and knowing some of that is just me not taking care of my hearing. I didn't dock it too much for that. I always have mixed notes.
I'd say a lot of my approach too is as a guitar player. Fortunately, you being a drummer, there was really great drumming on this.
Right.
As a guitar player, there was not a lack of good guitar playing, more so a lack of good tones in the guitar, and that eats me because I'm a maniac when it comes to my tone. I love how my knobs are set. There's very specific ways they all have to be set. It's my sound. And I'm sure that's how their sound is, but very unfortunately, through recording, it kind of bit them a little.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, we talked about it earlier on the guitar tones. I tend to let it slide a little bit because I can focus on other things. But as a guitar player, specifically, I would have problems with this album.
Yeah, it's very upfront in our minds.
And I don't think it has to do with their playing. I think it's just
It's the sounds coming out.
Yeah, I think it's choices. It's conscious choices being made in gear. It's not even in the mix. I talk about this all the time. It's crap in, crap out. There's certain things you can't fix in post, and really, really peaky upper mids are a lot of them, and that's what hurt us most of the album. So,
all right, let's hop into our album art. I gave this a 6 out of 10.
I liked this one. I give it an 8.
The album art tells the name of the song, or the name of the album, the name of the band, and somewhere probably has a date on it. So it's a 10 out of 10 because it did its job.
Give it a 7.5.
I like when it has to do with something, sort of, but yet it's abstract enough I don't have to think about it. As much as I love D-Loused, I was thinking about that. I'm like, without knowing the lore, this album art is lame for D-Loused. I mean, it's not lame. It's cool. It's abstract. But not without knowing the lore, you're like, oh. But this album, you'd see this and it sounds like what it looks like. And you always get extra points for that from me. If I can kind of judge a book by its cover, as much as I hate to do that.
Yeah, honestly, the font fits the genre. I don't know how to explain that. It's cool.
Look, I just don't know what the heck's going on. What is
like
that?
It's like a floor plan to a building.
Is it?
Is
Yeah.
it?
Yeah.
I thought it was like electrical
yeah, I thought it was a
component
circuit.
stuff.
No, that's like floor plan to a building or like a road layout or something. And the whole point is
you're
that
right.
there's no rival clones anywhere. That's what the notes are saying, is that it's like they're not here or here either, or something is written on it.
Huh. Yeah, I didn't get that. It's not a bad album art, and I do think it gets you right into what you're getting.
Mhm.
Actually, if you skip the first track, I think you're nailed on what this is. If I bought this vinyl and put that first track on, I'm turning it right off and not listening to it again.
I mean,
I don't know if I do all that, but
to be fair, I have no idea what the album title's about because none of the songs are title track,
That's
and
true.
also the lyrics aren't clear enough to know if that's the theme or something.
Yeah.
It is another one that there's probably lore that we missed. Maybe, I don't know.
I would assume a lot of lore was missed.
maybe we'll
I
get
hope they
maybe we'll
did
get
it
a
for
Google Doc.
themselves. I hope it's something only they know about and they're enjoying it, because I don't want them more worried about a picture on their album cover than they are about writing their music anyway. So
Maybe we'll get a Google Doc with all the lore in it again.
All right, we ready to go to album overall?
I think so.
I gave this a 5 out of 10.
Sorry, obligatory Steven noise. I gave this an 8.
I give it a 7.5.
I gave it a 6.5.
Yeah, as just stated minutes ago, it's just middle of the road. I don't think this is necessarily a bad album. It's one that I know I wouldn't turn on again, but it's a band that if they came through town or I was in town and they were playing, would go see. Will look forward to what's coming out. It's just I think this one's maybe a little behind my mark of average day-to-day listen. Now, if I was over here and it was on, I'm not going to be like, turn this off and be like, oh, heck yeah, this is cool. I remember when I listened to that. It's just a little behind what I think is good for recording, but it hits all the marks of what I think a live show should, so I think they're a solid band. Just need a little work on the actual production side and the recording side.
I'll go with the counterpoint. I actually really enjoyed this album. I rated it based on how I enjoyed it. I screw the system at this point, but it was funny. As I was listening to this, I was like, man, they really should have been the Blair Gun, because it fits on my playlist with all the bands. The Strokes, the Hives, even the Shins. You're just, I mean, not the Beatles, but a lot of those other bands that are all on one playlist on YouTube for me. This fits right in the middle of it, even though they're 20 years too late to do a lot of that. And I don't know, the post-punk label kind of got me a little bit, but I heard enough of that to kind of give it a pass. It was enough indie rock. It did that thing we talk about where it's nostalgic, but not an exact rip. I mean, short of a few things. There were a few things that I will kind of, they didn't rip anybody off. They were tips of the hat. Some of them maybe too, obviously. But I really enjoyed that, and it fits into a lot of what I listen to, and I think that's why I enjoyed it so much.
I enjoyed the album overall. What I liked about it is what I think with you guys hurt it a little bit. I liked when they tried to change the pace and do something different. I'm not saying everything on this album belongs on the same record, and maybe that's the pacing is the problem. But when it did shift to something different, that's when I started paying more attention and enjoyed it. So I really liked it when they tried to change it up and tried to use more of her vocals or more bass and stuff, even if it didn't fit the 5 or 6 post-punk songs that sort of are the foundation of the album.
Yeah. I liked a decent amount of this album. I think a good couple of these songs will end up on a playlist, but pacing hurt it quite a bit, and the repetitiveness of the last couple tracks was my actual issues with it. I think side A is pretty solid, minus like 1 or 2 little pacing issues, but yeah, I'll probably hear more of this a little bit.
As I was talking, I was thinking about it. Short of maybe a dozen albums that are pretty much perfect that are from that list of the bands. Most of their albums are kind of like this. There's hits, and then there's a lot of misses in between.
I tend to stay away from a lot of those bands, I've noticed. I hate the Strokes.
Yeah,
Crazy take.
yeah.
Hate?
They have, well, that's the way I look at it, is like, I can't listen to a full Strokes album. There's maybe one.
So the one that has all the good songs on it sounds terrible because they fired their mix engineer and mixed it themselves. So I will give you that.
Yeah, it's just, I can never get an enjoyable listen out of the Strokes. And then by the time the like remasters or anything came out that probably made it fine, fans got a hold of it and then got Nirvana syndrome where I hate the fans.
I don't even think it's that bad. I don't think the Strokes have a rabid fan base. I mean,
It's on Reddit.
it's a band that all bands know. I mean, like, the Strokes are by far the most important rock band of the 2000s.
I feel like that's your fault for being on Reddit.
I'm not even on Reddit. I'll just go and hop in the guitar subreddit to
I was
see
gonna
what's
say,
popping
yeah.
or something,
Yeah, you're-
and then everyone in there's on about the Strokes.
You're very specifically in the wrong guitar subreddit. You're in Tone Land, or the other one I'm not going to say the name of on the live.
Yeah, the one that everybody knows.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's. I think a lot of their influencers are bands that I tend to have problems with as far as full albums go. Now, they're bands that I think sound good, and they're bands that I recognize I'm just wrong about. I know I'm wrong about the Strokes. I just don't like them. But these guys have promise. I think this was album 2, so album 3 is hopefully going to be a lot better, if not just a little bit, because that comes with time in general. I mean, this is already over a year old. So,
Yeah, man, I think anytime you get 4 people together that have distinct tastes like this, there's going to be a certain amount of time it takes to figure out what their combined sound is. And as we heard, there are some points where the combined sound is cool. There's some points where it's weird. And there's some points that for some reason, the guitar players decide to just destroy everyone else. So they'll figure it out.
oh yeah. All right, what are we listening to next week?
Next week, we will be listening to El Oso by Soul Coughing. This was suggested by somebody on probably TikTok, if I had to guess.
All right. Anything else?
We haven't talked about merch in a while. We still have merch if anyone's interested.
We do still have merch. I don't have any on, but we do have our Album Mug Club mugs, as well as our varsity wear and our Album Hat Club hats.
I'm wearing my hat. I need a new one. It's starting to get a little faded.
Check out all that and our seasons prior merch over on our Fourth Wall shop.
If you keep watching, we might be able to just link it in the description of the video.
Yeah, eventually.
We're close.
All right, and on that note, Majestica, release a good one.
See ya.